It's that time of the year again, the semifinals at Carnesecca Arena at St. John's University, and we've got a good one as the Cardinal Hayes Cardinals take on the Bishop Loughlin Lions. And a pleasant good evening, everybody. Alongside Kevin Devaney Jr., I'm John Perez. It's one of the more exciting times in the Catholic League, and Kevin, we've got two teams that have had their peaks and valleys this year in Cardinal Hayes and Bishop Loughlin. For Loughlin, this is their second straight year. Cardinal Hayes, they're looking to get to their first title in quite some time. But let's talk about Cardinal Hayes. In the beginning of the year, they played well up in Westchester. You saw them. Joe Lodes admitted that this was supposed to be a rebuilding year, but that's not the case.
No, not the case. Don't listen to Joe Lodes, but anything he says. Talk about peaks and valleys. I think every team in the Catholic League has had their ups and their downs, and really all it was going to boil down to was who's going to be high at the right time. We have 4 teams left. These are the teams that are left to win it.
So we look at these two teams, and it's all about the guard play. And Kevin, you really like Joe Toussaint, what he's able to do.
Yeah, people say he's ahead of schedule, a year ahead of schedule. Well, now it's the postseason of his sophomore year, a 5'11 guard, a terrific all-around player, stat-stuffing guy. Cardinal Hayes, predicated a lot on the big men that they have, but Joe Toussaint makes everything happen in the backcourt. And when he's going in this matchup against maybe the most talented backcourt outside of the Malloy backcourt, very tough challenge with Bishop Loughlin.
And you mentioned that backcourt. You really can't go wrong with any guard in this league. But Marquise Noel, he plays to the crowd. He's some guy to watch.
Love Marquise Noel. Marquise Noel came to Westchester last year and lit it up in the slam dunk tournament. He's terrific. He's 5'7". He's undersized from a college perspective, but if a college is looking for a guy who's going to give it everything he has in every possession, 20 points per game, 8 assists per game, and again, the catalyst on the most explosive and dynamic offense in the Catholic League.
It should be a good one. It's the Lions and the Cardinals, and it's all coming up next on News 12 Varsity's Game Time.
Who will rise higher? Dunk harder and go farther. The playoffs are here. Tune to News 12 Varsity all postseason long.
It's time for some basketball here at Carnesecca Arena. We've got a good one alongside Kevin Devaney Jr. I'm John Perez, Bishop Loughlin, and Cardinal Hayes. And let's give you the starting lineups. First, for the number 14 ranked Cardinal Hayes Cardinals, they go with the 3-guard set of Joe Toussaint, Jonte Williams, and Tyrese Williams as well. The forwards, Terry Dawkins and Mark Jackson. For Bishop Loughlin, ranked number 7 in News 12 Varsity's Tri-State poll, the backcourt of Marquise Noel and Keith Williams, with the forwards Jordan Thomas, Tyrese Gaffney, and Adrian Nunez. And there's Joe Lodes in his 10th season, looking for the first AA title since 1990, when, Kevin, they had a guy by the name of Jamal Mashburn.
Jamal Mashburn. Yeah, he came through here, had a pretty good career in high school, and then went on to play, have a good, solid NBA career as well. I mean, looking at a Loughlin team that now comes into this, John, I think you'd have to regard them as a favorite coming into this game. There were 4 senior starters in this lineup. Marquise Noel, veteran. The ball was up here in the semifinals. They're the team that kind of has their eye and maybe the best chance of getting to the championship.
Bishop Loughlin wins the tip, and they'll take this one to the right of your screen. And speaking to Bishop Loughlin, head coach Ed Gonzalez, who you just saw a second ago, I asked him if he's starting to feel the pressure of finally getting to this point and having to win, and he said that he's not feeling the pressure, but Kevin, I believe that's just coach speak.
I'm sure nobody's ever asked him that, about getting to the final 3 ball goes up and off the mark. Yeah, I'm sure he's feeling it. He feels it every year.
Toussaint was feeling it, but he gets hacked on the way up, and that'll be the first on Williams.
28 seconds in, and your best player gets his first foul. It's rough. In a game that's going to go end-to-end, going to be physical on both ends of the floor, a foul that early for Keith Williams is tough.
Joe Toussaint, the 5'11 sophomore, averages 15 points a game as he tickles the twine on the first one in a 1-0 lead for Cardinal Hayes. Toussaint said that he's grown up a lot this year, and he knew that this team had the chemistry to make it work, and it was just hitting the gym every day and just starting to see the results. He gets 3 the hard way, and it's a 3-0 lead for the Cardinals. 7:30 to go in the first quarter.
Yeah, John, I think this Cardinal Hayes team may have had a little bit too much success this season early on with this young group starting undefeated in league, winning the slam dunk tournament title at the Westchester County Center in late December, and not having a loss on their record until January, and maybe got a little bit ahead of themselves and just needed to reset and refocus, and here they are, 1 win from playing for a title.
Mark Jackson commits the first foul for the Cardinals. Noel a 3, book it. Marquise Noel, the junior, shooting 41% from downtown. He had a 22-point, 8-assist performance Sunday night. and he ties the game at 3.
As a team, have you ever heard of 11 of 12 in the first half from three-point range? Are they going to have this thing? I'm sure Joe Lowe's, he says, let's hope they miss the first one. At least we have a repeat of last game, but here they are. They're 1 for 1.
To piggyback off of that, Lowe's said that if Loughlin shoots like that again, we've got no chance.
I don't think any team in the Tri-State has a chance, but the other team makes 11 threes in the first half.
Toussaint at the stamp. Cardinal Hayes, 19-8, their overall record. Winners of the New York AA division, and Terry Dawkins knocks down the jumper. His foot was on the line, so it's a 2. And it's a 5-3 lead for Cardinal Hayes.
Dawkins had 14 points in the win over Mount, but it seemed like they were going to let him shoot from behind the arc or from deep range.
Here's a player that can shoot it when he's open. Nunez can't stick the 3 on that one. Toussaint fighting off Thomas. Gets away with a jab, now goes out to the corner. 3 ball on the way, Tyrese Williams, cash. And Ed Gonzalez is going to call a quick timeout and talk it over. But this is the start that the Cardinals wanted.
Transition 3 right there, and that puts them up 8-3. And Cardinal Hayes returning the favor on the 3 balls. They hit back-to-back.
That's Tyrese Williams, who has offers from Fordham, VCU, interest from Santa Clara, Quinnipiac, and Bowling Green. He's a second-team All-League player. Had a broken ankle last year, and boy, he's really been a plus for this Cardinal Hayes squad.
Yeah, when you look at last year to this year, the growth of players, it's, a lot of these young guys just got more than a year better. And you say, okay, we got this guy coming back, we're going to have a solid that position. But just the growth that Hayes made across the board, I think everybody may have exceeded what their potential was supposed to be this year.
This is a team that lost Clive Allen, now playing at Robert Morris. And to kind of get off of our grid a little bit, how about the job that Robert Morris does every year in the NEC as well? David Cole, a Christ the King alum, is also there. Not too bad to be Andy Toole. Williams, that jumper gets deflected. Noel behind the back, a little razzle-dazzle. He likes to play to the crowd, very entertaining. Skips it underneath to Gaffney. Gaffney threw a lot of contact, doesn't get the call or the bucket. Hayes in the front court.
That was a lot of contact. It's going to be maybe something to watch out for moving forward here.
And that'll be an offensive foul. Nice job by Jordan Thomas to draw the charge. Mark Jackson picking up his second.
Thomas averages under 5 points per game and almost 8 rebounds, but he does little things like that, drawing a foul, drawing a charge. It's amazing how, you interview coaches, John, after games, and you talk about kids, and you'll point out the kid had 20 points or 10 rebounds or whatever, and they'll say, well, that guy had 3 charges, took 3 charges, and sometimes that's just as valuable.
And speaking to Jordan Thomas a couple of weeks ago, he said, I'll do whatever this team needs me to do. And there you see he's facilitating as Adrian Nunez gets the roll.
Great pump fake there by Adrian Nunez for the easy basket.
8-5 lead for the Cardinals, 5:10 to go in the opening quarter. Terrence Reeves, TJ amongst his friends, checks in for the Cardinals.
He let you call him TJ?
No, I haven't spoken to Mr. Reeves. But his head coach calls him TJ, and I'd have to imagine it's okay with everyone in maroon and gold. And I bet you it's okay after he knocks down that triple and gives a little stare to Nunez. It's an 11-5 lead for the Cardinals.
That was more than a little stare. That was a message being sent. A nice basket there by Keith Noel, sticking with the loose ball, and then having the presence of mind of where he was to go back up with it.
And one of the interesting things in going to Catholic League games this year is that all of these players are fiercely into the game, and they're big, and they're
that's a kind way to put it.
And they're great competitors. But it's funny because when you go to, say, a Loughlin Hayes game, they're talking to each other during the JV and the freshman game and just exchanging pleasantries as Williams tries to save that one. So it's funny, and we'll see in the next game too. Cole Anthony, I know he mentioned this to you.
Yeah. Very
close with Bryce Wills, but in the game against Iona Prep, I believe he said to you after the game, I wanted to kill his team.
Yeah.
Underneath Dawkins.
Half-court execution for Cardinal Hayes. Right there off the inbounds play makes them go up 13-7.
Dawkins averaging 13 points a game. He's a 6'2 junior. Now Tyrese Gaffney. He's been asked to penetrate more this year. He does that time, and we'll get a whistle.
Jonte Williams, number 3 for Cardinal Hayes, has the assignment of chasing Keith Williams as he goes sideline to sideline.
And that's a name that we didn't touch on in the open, in Keith Williams, and we haven't really mentioned it much this year, but
it gets talked about enough.
Yeah. A 13-7 lead for Cardinal Hayes. Gaffney will look to change that as he misses the first free throw. Gaffney saying that his father, Eric Gaffney, was his biggest basketball influence, and Eric played at August Martin in high school, but is a middle school teacher at PS 21 in Bed-Stuy, and Eric actually has a key to that gym, and the two of them work out, get up every day in the off season at 5 a.m. and just put up shot after shot after shot.
It's usually the things that players who are as good as him do when no one's watching that makes him so good.
Reeves gets his pocket picked. Up ahead, Williams. Williams to the cup, gets blocked from behind by Reeves, and it'll stay with Loughlin. 31 on the timer.
Reeves is giving them good minutes off the bench. Obviously, he hit that three and that transition play right there, stopping an easy layup.
Williams in the corner gets trapped on. That's exactly what Cardinal Hayes wanted to do without the result of the foul. But they're going to try and throw everything in the kitchen sink at Keith Williams to keep the ball away from him. Noel. In the corner, Nunez spots up from three, cash.
You know, you figure, John, these teams are going to come out a little nervous, and you know they may struggle in the big arena with the different depth perception here. No problem. Just knocking down threes all over. Well, 13-10.
And you know that's a very interesting thing too. If you take Christ the King and St. Francis Prep out of the mix, these four teams and across the Catholic League have relatively small gyms that look about a fourth of the size, but it doesn't matter there as Tyrese Williams again knocks down a three. He's got 6, and it's a 6-point lead for the Cardinals.
They're shooting three-pointers like this is an all-star game.
Bodies go flying. Timeout wants to be called. And the jump ball will give it.
I don't think Terry Dawkins had enough of the possession there. He was one yelling for the timeout. He was on the floor. He had maybe the most of the basketball. But no timeout granted. He'll go to the bench. And in comes Sharif Conte.
Conte, a 6'3" senior. And that's the thing about Cardinal Hayes. They don't have a player taller than 6'3" that's active. Adam Cisse was just shut down a couple of days ago, only playing in one game this year in the semifinals, but has had knee problems, and Joe Lodes doesn't want to risk it, and he wants to have his sophomore for 2 more seasons.
Before in our pregame, we talked about the bigs for Cardinal Hayes. I referred to that. And
as Williams drains the three, and there he is. Keith Williams had 20 points and made 8 of 10 shots from the floor against Iona Sunday night, and he gets his first bucket here.
Two teams that are absolutely locked in here in this first quarter with 29 combined points. Still 2 minutes to go. We're talking about the bigs of Cardinal Hayes. It's really the versatility of their big men and the matchup problems they pose for opposing teams, even despite being undersized, that makes them so dangerous.
Jonte Williams to Tyrese Williams. No relation. Williams, contested jumper is no good as Thomas snatches it and throws the outlet. Williams with the jam. Hello, Keith Williams.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting to look. There's a group of kids sitting behind us who are like marveling at the dunks in the pregame, and now we get one in-game, and Keith Williams is the one who tomahawks it down. And it's funny because he was out in transition, and he's put his thumb up in the air like, I want an alley-oop, and they gave it to him a little bit earlier, and he still throws it down. And right now, we have as good of end-to-end action as you're going to see at this level all season long.
He'll head to Cincinnati next year. 1:18 to go in the first quarter. A 16-15 lead for Cardinal Hayes on News 12 Varsity's Game Time. 1 point lead for Cardinal Hayes, 16-15 with 1:18 to go in the opening quarter of the CHSAA Intersectional Semifinals. The first of 2, Archbishop Malloy and Archbishop Stepanek will have the nightcap. Underneath Dawkins over Nunez, and he gets the lucky roll.
Good feed there by Toussaint.
Dawkins now with 4. Noel coast to coast and a finger roll for Marquise Noel.
The masterful Euro step there by Noel.
Noel with 5.
Just changed his direction incredibly quick.
Well, everyone in the Catholic League knows that Marquise Noel can shoot, but they also know that he's not afraid to attack the rim. Another three on the way from Williams is short. Nunez with another board. Thomas slips, it'll stay with Loughlin. A 0.2 second differential between the game and shot clock. Game clock at 30.2. So Loughlin can take this all the way down. Nunez has other ideas. Toussaint with a head of steam. Now Dawkins. 10 seconds to go in the first quarter. Toussaint, a three, no good, off to the right. Thomas with 6 seconds has to bring it up, gets double teamed. Nunez only has 1 second, lets it go. Not that time, and that will do it. Well, we've played one full quarter, and it's Cardinal Hayes with a 1-point lead over Bishop Loughlin, 18-17 on News 12 Varsity's Game Time.
On March 12th, starting at 11 a.m., watch the best of Long Island high school basketball battle for the right to be called champions. Live on Channel 14. This doubleheader begins at 11 a.m. with the Class A Finals, followed by the Class AA Finals at 1:30 p.m. Watch the best of Long Island high school basketball live on the big screen on Optimum Channel, Channel 14.
It'll be Bishop Loughlin ball to start the second quarter. On the floor for the Lions, Marquise Noel, Justin Champagny, Tyrese Gaffney, Richard Springs, and Keith Williams. For the Cardinals, Joe Toussaint, Tyrese Williams, as Keith Williams' shot doesn't fall. Terry Dawkins. The pull-up is short by Tyrese Williams. Now Noel. Inside, Williams gets the roll.
Looks like on the Loughlin bench, Jordan Thomas is being attended to for his left elbow. And we still have Adrian Nunez checked out, standing off to the side, and not exactly sure if he's injured or if he's just choosing to stand here while he's sitting on the bench, but
might just be a quick breather. Three ball on the way from Williams. Jonte Williams averages 11 points a game. He's a 5'11 junior. Had 12 and 2 against Mount Sunday night.
And every trip down the floor, he's either defending Noel or he's defending Williams. So he has the the toughest or the second toughest, how you ever want to decide it, assignment in the building.
Williams off the mark, and Dawkins will it out of bounds. Well, you see the second unit for Bishop Loughlin, and if you take out Keith Williams and Tyrese Gaffney, that's the future. Richard Springs, Marquise Noel, Justin Champagny, even have his twin brother Julian Champagny as well. So a little glimpse into the Lions' future. Busting to the cup, Terry Dawkins again, he's got 6.
Nice cut there by Dawkins against his zone. As soon as the ball went to the top of the key, the opening in the middle was there, and Dawkins cut and got the basket.
Noel and Williams. And Noel draws the foul.
First on Toussaint. I actually looked at the board to make sure. I thought maybe it might be second, but it's his first.
And Jordan Thomas will come in for Justin Champagny, who, as you alluded to earlier, does have tape on that left elbow.
And Nunez may have had a cut or something on his left knee, so he's sidelined as well.
Gaffney, the Euro step. It wouldn't be a New York City matchup without a couple of scrapes. And Jonte Williams again.
I haven't seen one Cardinal Hayes player release the ball and look anything less than overconfident that it was going in.
Well, this is a team that likes to shoot it. They have a small gym up in the Bronx. Williams, his second jam. But this is a Hayes team that lets it fly, and like you said, they see it going down before it's even halfway there. You see Noel and Toussaint again, and those two have been drawn to each other since the opening tip.
And, you know, it's one thing if you want to be a good shooting team. We are a good shooting team, and you want to be, putting up three-point shots. But Cardinal Hayes does a great job of the driving kick, creating shots, and creating open looks by ball movement, moving without the basketball, setting screens. This is just the ball falling through the net. It's just the final piece.
A 26-21 lead for Cardinal Hayes. Jordan Thomas doesn't get it to go.
That three ball was halfway down as well.
Toussaint working on Gaffney, the no-looker. And Dawkins draws the foul. Or check that, Mark Jackson. Nope, Terry Dawkins.
Yeah, it's not on Jordan Thomas, who almost deflated the ball with that rejection.
Well, Dawkins, a 6'2 junior, a guy that his head coach said he wasn't sure what the team was going to get out of Dawkins inside, and they knew that he would be a bruiser, but they weren't sure what other areas he would progress in. And so far, they've been very happy with his progression. He gets the second one, and it's a 28-21 lead for Cardinal Hayes. Noel, a three. Off to the left. Springs fighting with Williams for the rebound. Dawkins comes out of the pack, leads it ahead to Tyrese Williams. A little too far, and he has to track it down. Jonte Williams, another three. That was a heat check.
You know, once you start missing, you have a 7-point lead. Cardinal Hayes up 28-21, but you don't want to live and die by the three.
Bishop Loughlin will live and die with Williams. And he finally gets it to go. If at first you don't succeed, try again. And Keith Williams.
How quick is he off his feet? Oh, my goodness.
He's got 7. Cardinal Hayes by 5, 4:05 to go in the second quarter.
Another guy on this team shooting almost 50%. I think the last game, even though they played 27, last game really inflated these guys' numbers probably.
Dawkins with 2 Lions on him. Williams with the deflection, leads ahead. Noel to the cup, and he draws the foul.
What a defensive play there. That whole transition made up by Keith Williams. Blocking the shot, getting out in transition where Noel got fouled.
Noel, the junior, an 82% free throw shooter. And Ed Gonzalez says that he gets phone calls from Marquise Noel at 5 a.m. asking him to open up the gym during a school day. And his approach is that there's always somebody out there working harder than him, and he doesn't want to make that a habit. But he's definitely one of the more hardworking players in this Catholic League. Started his high school career at St. Anthony in Jersey City. Didn't get as much playing time his freshman year. Made the switch over to Bishop Loughlin, and when Keith Williams saw him in the hallway, it was kind of like Williams had to have a double take and said, oh, let's do this thing. And they went to the Catholic League final last year. They'll look to win it this year, but first they have to get past Cardinal Hayes. As Williams goes to the deck, he wants a timeout and a jump ball. We'll keep it on that side. Which is funny because I remember the last possession arrow had it staying for Cardinal Hayes. Tyrese Williams, a three. He cans it.
Great screen there. Designed out-of-bounds play. And Joe Toussaint had to throw a little bit of rainbow pass right to Williams for the bucket.
9 for Tyrese Williams. And Keith Williams, dunk number 3.
Take 3 more of those before halftime. Under 3 minutes left. 4-point Hayes lead. It's like he leaves his feet and there's no stopping it.
It's funny, if you ever talk to Keith Williams, you kind of get that aw shucks persona from him. And, oh, you know, we played well, we played good as a team. But he's an animal on the floor in a good way. He's out there to get his and to get his team in a good position. And he's going to be sorely missed next year, even though Bishop Loughlin will have quite a squad.
Well, when you have Marquise Noel, and Marquise Noel is the master of distributing the ball, the no-look pass, you have to be ready. I remember watching a game last year. Fox Lane played against Bishop Loughlin up at the Westchester County Center. And Marquise Noel threw a pass that hit one of his teammates in the chest. That's how fast it was. And I remember thinking to myself, man, this kid has a gift of being able to distribute the ball, see the floor like no other player, and so talented. His 2 free throws don't fall right there, and 2:40 left in the half.
And a 31-27 lead for Cardinal Hayes. Loughlin looking for its first lead in this game. Gaffney, he'll hoist a 3 and connect.
A double high screen that Noel goes around, and the attention he demands, as soon as he went around it, the defender left Tyrese Gaffney wide open.
So Cardinal Hayes with a 1-point lead. 2:05 to go in the second quarter. Noel almost with the takeaway, and then a backcourt violation.
And that right there is Marquise Noel studying the guy in front of him, and he saw that Tyrese Williams just has been sizing him up a little bit and went for the steal there, and didn't get the steal in the fast break he probably wanted, but he got the turnover nonetheless.
Gaffney and Toussaint. Gaffney to the cup, yes, and the foul. Loughlin back out in front with a chance at a 3-point play. And that'll be the second on Tyrese Williams. So the second Cardinal starter with 2 fouls. And Gaffney earns 3 the hard way.
Seeing Loughlin go to the 2-1-2 pressure, full court pressure.
Toussaint loses it. Gaffney, the leadoff. Noel, he tees this one up. Can't sink it. Toussaint the other way. Toussaint with a head of steam, blocked. Jordan Thomas with the rejection.
He blocked that on the way down after he jumped.
Jordan Thomas with interest from Hofstra, among many others. Williams, the catch and shoot, no good. And the one problem that Thomas admits is Gaffney goes to the rim, doesn't get the reverse layup, but keeps it alive for Loughlin, is that at the Division I level, there are no 6'4" forwards, but it doesn't matter for Tyrese Gaffney.
And Gaffney wanted to call, and he deserved to call as he got hit on the arm as that shot went up.
And a 35-31 lead for Bishop Loughlin.
8 straight points.
That one tipped away. Here's Williams. Tries to scoop it towards Noel, gets it back, and converts.
Noel didn't know who it was passed to. He wasn't going to take a chance. He just deflected it back to the middle for another bucket. It's 37-31, under a minute.
Williams, the CHSAA Player of the Year with 10. And a 37-31 lead for Loughlin. 35 seconds to go in the opening half. Noel almost with the takeaway and then a whistle.
And you see Noel's face there.
Mark Jackson was looking towards the sideline. Noel picked up on that. So the shot clock turned off, 27.2 to go in the second quarter.
Hayes a hold for 1 here, and they ran out of gas with about 3 minutes to go in the half, and it's allowed Loughlin to go from down 5 to up 6 here, under 10 seconds.
The bucket can help their psyche. Here's Dawkins into the corner. Jonte Williams tries to dump it inside, and they don't get a shot off. What a way to close the opening half for Bishop Loughlin. They'll head to the locker room with a 37-31 lead.
And for all the 3-point shots that fell for Cardinal Hayes in that first half, they let down in the final 2.5, 3 minutes. And not get, you talk about psyche, a 3-pointer, a basket at the buzzer would have been good, you still would have been down, but not even getting a shot off is maybe a sign of what's to come defensively in the second half for Bishop Loughlin.
When we come back, we'll recap the first half, and we'll talk about the keys for the remaining half. You're watching News 12 Varsity's Game Time.
On March 11th, starting at 5 p.m., watch the best of New Jersey high school basketball battle for the right to be called champions live on Channel 14.
At the buzzer, good!
This doubleheader begins at 5 p.m. with the non-public B finals, followed by the non-public A finals at 7 p.m. Watch the best of New Jersey high school basketball live on the big screen on Optimum Channel, Channel 14.
Second half set to begin. A Bishop Loughlin 37-31 lead. And Kevin, Bishop Loughlin for those final 3 minutes of the second quarter was on fire as Adrian Nunez can't knock down the three. But if you're Joe Lodes going into the locker room, what do you tell your team and what adjustments do you make?
They were in full command. They had 6 3-pointers made. Then they went the final 3 minutes without scoring a point. A 12-0 run to close the half for Bishop Loughlin to take a 6-point advantage here. So it was quite a momentum swing, and it all started really with the dunking of Keith Williams.
And if you're Joe Lodes, what do you tell your team about the adjustments you need to make?
I think it's just a matter of just kind of keeping pace and not letting them get out in transition. And I think the other thing is just how active Bishop Loughlin is on the ball defensively. There's really no game plan against that. It's just a matter of just being more aware, trying to be a little quicker, being more careful, and running and executing the half-court offense.
Tyrese Williams to the corner. There's Jonte Williams to Mark Jackson. Fall-away jumper from Tyrese Williams is no good. Jonte Williams grabs the rebound. Joe Toussaint and Terry Dawkins. The other Cardinals on the floor. Tyrese Gaffney, Marquise Noel, Jordan Thomas, Adrian Nunez, and Keith Williams for the Lions. Toussaint from the elbow. In the corner's Jonte Williams. Gives it to Mark Jackson. And the jumper is good. I can't confirm it for a fact, but it's been quite a while since a Mark Jackson has knocked down a jumper in this arena.
How long you been waiting to say that?
I just thought of it. 4-point lead for Loughlin, 6:45 to go. To the cup, Gaffney can't get the roll. Thomas tries to swat it back out to give his team another possession, and it works. The only problem is that Mark Jackson doesn't wear 13.
That's true.
And I said that to Joe Lodes yesterday, and he said, I just thought of that. So clearly he's not up on his Big East history, which I'm sure he used to watch Mark Jackson back in the day, as Thomas almost takes a nasty spill.
I like how active Jordan Thomas is in the paint. Again, another guy, as you said earlier, and only averaging about 5 points per game, but just little plays, little hustle plays, the blocks, the rejections. He's altered some shots so far and has his team in front by 4.
Toussaint spots up from 3 off to the left. Well, we still see the confidence from Cardinal Hayes to hoist those threes when they want to, but not getting the results that they want.
Marquise Noel with a little Russell Westbrook in him going in for those rebounds. He rebounds pretty well for a small guy.
And he plays with that chip on his shoulder like Westbrook as well.
It absolutely does. I was a huge fan since the moment I saw him last season.
His coming out party was against Lehigh last year. Had 18 points in the third quarter as he gives it underneath to Williams. Can't get it to go. And we'll get an offensive foul. Tyrese Williams in there to draw the charge. He's there, Jordan Williams, as well, the glue to the team that does all of the dirty work, as that'll be the first on Tyrese Gaffney.
And it's like Keith Williams was upset about something, a call, a no call.
Williams will float it to Toussaint. Straight on 3. Jonte Williams picks up right where he left off. His third triple. And he puts Cardinal Hayes within 1.
Sorry, they're really not coming out when he had the basketball, and he's, maybe he's a little further out. They thought they weren't thinking he was going to pull the trigger from there, and that was like an NBA range 3.
Might be time to get a man on him. That one taken away. Cardinal Hayes looking for the lead. Here's Toussaint working on Noel, and it'll be a goaltend. Give the 2 points to Toussaint, and Cardinal Hayes takes its first lead of the second half, a 38-37 advantage, and Ed Gonzalez will call a timeout to talk it over.
And
for
nice
Bishop
job
Loughlin.
there. Pressure defense from Cardinal Hayes and playing the passing lanes. There was a little bit in the first half, and maybe late in the first half, and early in this third quarter where I felt like Cardinal Hayes was sitting back too much defensively. and being a little bit more aggressive in the passing lane right there, getting a turnover, a bucket, and a lead with 5:02 left in the third quarter.
So there you see in his school uniform, the tallest man in the huddle, Adam Cisse, only played in one game this season. It was on Sunday, had been battling with knee injuries, lingering knee injuries, and spoke to us before the game, said that he was shut down for the remainder of the season. And, you know, to kind of put this in perspective, in a way to have your cake and eat it too if you're Joe Loads, you obviously want to win a city championship with this young core, but you also have to mortgage the future as well. And Cisse, you really don't want him to get in any more
absolutely not.
Any more trouble with the injury as
No,
Williams goes to the
play
cup.
through it, and you know Joe Loads is going to be smart about it and know when to push and when not to push. And Cisse just didn't have it in him. And this is a league of big men too. It's so many talented big men in this league. Obviously, another one coming up in the game next. We're going to see Moses Brown.
A lot of talent on all four of these teams. That's a deep three. Williams is short, but Joe Toussaint scavenges it, throws it up as the shot clock was expiring. And Williams steps on the end line.
Things just kind of going Cardinal Hayes' way here in the last couple minutes.
Terry Dawkins to fire this one in. Jonte Williams from inside the arc. And we'll get a whistle against Cardinal Hayes, and that'll go to Dawkins, his second. Marquise Noel. Getting a screen from Thomas and Nunez. Williams, a deep three. That's off to the right. We've been seeing these teams shoot from the Grand Concourse in Fort Greene. The turnaround, Jackson doesn't get the roll. And Nunez with the push.
Jackson had a good look, a little mid-range look from the free throw line.
And there you see the tape, but Kevin, it doesn't matter because they're shooting about 9 yards behind it.
Yeah, from here, when you get close up, you realize that is just taped down, put there for the high school games.
Our producer Tom Schnarr's on it, as he is on everything. The best in the biz, Jonte Williams.
8th three-pointer for Cardinal Hayes, and they're out by 2.
A 41-39 lead for Cardinal Hayes, 3:20 to go in this third quarter. Williams will float it to Noel. The handoff to Springs, he gets blocked by Jackson. Richard Springs missing a good amount of time. Williams another three, he dials it in. And the Cardinal Hayes bench erupts. They're up 44-39.
Back-to-back threes, and he's locked in as Jonte Williams. And Noel is the coolest guy in the building, handling the ball.
Cardinal Nation on their feet. Noel to the cup, too strong. Jackson comes down with it. Dawkins up and under, draws the foul. You knew it was going to be a game of peaks and valleys and ebbs and flows for these two.
Yeah.
And it's just fun to watch.
It's fun to watch when it's all about the three-point shot, and just you never have a doubt when it leaves the hands of Jonte Williams.
So 2 upcoming for Dawkins. And Kevin, let me pose this question to you because you've been covering high school sports longer than I have. And are you starting to see a trickle-down effect from the NBA to the high school level where more bigs are shooting threes and shooting mid-range jumpers from, let's say, 5 to 7 years ago? And even, you know, anybody on the floor now can just hoist up a three with confidence.
Yeah, I think the skill level, the evolution of basketball has been advanced skill level. People talk about AAU and how AAU has hurt basketball. I think it's hurt team basketball. I don't think it's hurt individual skill basketball because kids are playing more year-round. They have the basketball more in their hands. And so, yeah, I do think the big men are learning to dribble the ball better, learn to shoot the ball better. And some guys only have natural, God-given ability like that.
The second chance for Williams is good. He puts Loughlin within 5, 46-41. 2:05 to go in the third quarter. Tyrese Williams, the kick out. Mark Jackson a 3. Book it.
10 threes. 30 of their 49 points have come from the three-point line.
Cardinal Hayes giving Bishop Loughlin a taste of their own medicine. 49-41 Hayes. The kick out, Williams. The answer back, no. Jordan Thomas, an offensive board, and Richard Springs took his eyes off of it and then stepped on the end line. You could see as he was trying to corral that pass, he took his eyes off of it. And that took away an easier 2 points for Loughlin.
Springs is just a little bit slow right now. And he's coming out of the game, going to the bench, and just seems like Noel fed him a couple times for a basket, and Springs couldn't finish. And that's what you have with a sophomore coming off the bench in a big game. It's just a little bit of an adjustment for him, and he's on the floor with 9 of the best players in the city.
And let's not forget, too, that he missed a significant amount of time with a meniscus injury as well, as Williams boots that one out of play. So even though he's been on and off in practice and Gonzalez doesn't want to force feed him back into the lineup, the chemistry still needs to be developed with Springs. And unfortunately, he's running out of time in the season. Dawkins all alone, blocked by Williams. Williams and Toussaint, he's got Noel. It finds its way into Noel, and it'll stay with Bishop Loughlin, 31 to shoot, 1:01 to go in the third quarter. Tyrese Gaffney to the cup and a whistle. Tyrese Williams pleading it was all ball. But the official says nay, nay. Tyrese Gaffney in the past has been criticized by his coach and the rest of the coaches that he was too passive and needs to be more aggressive. They have to be happy with what they've seen out of Gaffney this season, especially in this game.
That's not a critique you hear very often of guys in the Catholic League, because you have guys who grow up and they're the stars of where they come from, and they come to a school like Loughlin or Hayes or you know, Christ the King, and then they expect to be stars at this level as well. And so for Gaffney, it's to be too laid back. It's almost like a compliment as much as it is a criticism.
Now let me pose this at you, and this is kind of a theory that I've had to myself, and I want to actually verbalize it out there. You've got this week, obviously the biggest week in New York City high school basketball with the PSAL and the Catholic League. You also have the Big East tournament and the ACC tournament here, and you know, you've got games going on tonight, as you see. There were all the St. John's banners, and they'll play tonight against Georgetown as well.
Are they missing some years here? Or is that all of them?
No, that's all.
Okay.
That's all it is. After Louis, it was
I know.
tough findings.
But
But my point is that, and this is just my theory, and I would like to hear another mind. I feel that you can win national championships with Catholic League players for this reason. When you look at past champions, Villanova, Butler, the 2 years where they went to the final, UConn, you get a lot of veteran-laden teams. And before John Calipari, the teams that won weren't filled with a bunch of one-and-dones. These, you know, you have Nick Richards, Isaiah Briscoe, Kyrie Irving across the Hudson, and I get that. And you might have more talent, but I just feel like there's a different kind of cloth that New York City players are cut from. You can grow them, and you can mold them into really good college players with an opportunity to not only win a national championship, but benefit themselves at a higher level as well.
I couldn't agree more. I think a lot of the best teams have that fabric, as you say, and you know, you look at the teams that have.
Well, hold on, Kevin. Look at the play right there, where you've got two players going to the deck. And tell me another league in the country where you've got players that want it more than you've got Marquise Noel and Jonte Williams right there.
And you also have maybe a little bit of concern there with Jonte Williams being injured, and Noel is still down. But to finish your point, I think you're 100% right. You know, Kentucky and a lot of the schools at that level are going to Duke, are going to have the one-and-dones, and they're going to have the elite future NBA players. But a lot of the best teams, like in Villanova, or, you know, teams that are just, you know, competing and making it to Sweet 16s, Elite Eights, are teams that have players that come from this sort of background.
And you just saw it on the screen as well. The jerseys retired for Chris Mullin and Mark Jackson here at Carnesecca Arena. Of course, they played at Alumni Hall with 17 seconds to go, but two Catholic League players that helped spark a team go to the Final Four.
Mullin trying to restore that now. I'm sure he's here, you know, thinking about recruits.
Toussaint, a three. That's off to the left. Terrence Reeves, one last hoist. Toussaint at the horn. It does not go, but Cardinal Hayes has to be satisfied with a strong third quarter. They lead by 6, 49-43, headed into the fourth quarter. We'll come back, and we'll certainly continue this discussion. This has been a fun one, and this has been a fun game. You're watching the Catholic League semifinals on News 12 Varsity's Game Time.
Who will rise higher, dunk harder, and go farther? The playoffs are here. Tune to News 12 Varsity all postseason long.
There's Lou Carnesecca with the 526 wins. He's normally perched here at Carnesecca Arena whenever the Johnnies have the home game. And of course, a lot of success to this arena, named after him in 2004. Originally Alumni Hall, and that was one of the big, and not to plug myself, but I will for this, that was one of my first big feature stories that I did on Lou Carnesecca. And when I asked him about the arena, he said, you know what? It's everyone's arena. And you know what? You start to see that in the Catholic League as well.
Maybe the most humble coach
of course,
you've ever been around.
I might also add that he is happy that there is a Dunkin' on campus now, but sad that Dante's is no longer here. I'm done with my St. John spiel for today. But as we start the fourth quarter, a 49-43 lead for Cardinal Hayes. Terry Dawkins, a high pass to Joe Toussaint, who steps on the end line. Terrence Reeves, Tyrese Williams, and Mark Jackson on the floor. For the Hayesmen, Adrian Nunez, Marquise Noel, Tyrese Gaffney, Keith Williams, and Jordan Thomas.
Tell me you didn't sense a little bit of a different vibe when Cardinal Hayes had the basketball with Jonte Williams off the floor on the bench still.
Could this be the final 725 of Keith Williams' high school career? Noel trying to change that. He's off the mark on a three. And Jordan Thomas is playing like there's no tomorrow. Quite frankly, because there's not.
Nice play there, going out of bounds. Again, another play that really doesn't show up too much in the stat sheet, more than just a rebound, team rebound, and that was a nice play there by Thomas. Not all rebounds fall into your hands.
But we've even seen that for years, even at the higher level. A guy like Tyson Chandler will tap it back out, and, you know, a big guy that's 7 feet, if you just look at the stats, say, oh, how does he only have 5 rebounds a game? But there's Tyrese Gaffney as well, and he's one of those players as well, too, where you'll look at a stat sheet after a game and say, wow, Tyrese Gaffney did all of that.
There's so much flash on this team that Tyrese Gaffney just doesn't really fit into that. He's just a rebounder, guy who puts back baskets, low post baskets. And
Williams off the mark. Dawkins, yes. 51-45, Cardinal Hayes.
Hayes seems to have a little bit of an answer now for Loughlin.
Noel. That one deflected out. Toussaint scoops it up to the cup. Joe Toussaint.
And the confidence of Cardinal Hayes is rising right now.
It'll rise after that steal. Here's Jackson. He'll slow it down and wait for his teammates. And Williams eyes the clock. Joe Lodes tells his point guard Joe Toussaint to slow it down as they play catch towards half court.
I think if Joe Lodes coming out of halftime, you told him in 10 minutes of game time you're going to have an 8-point lead, he wouldn't have believed it.
Toussaint, a three.
Nunez is on the floor again, limited minutes.
And Nunez wearing 35 in white. You see on the left knee some blood. He's been all over the floor and potentially be skid marks. Inside to Williams, he gets fouled. Well, Bishop Loughlin might have to win this game at the free throw line, considering that Hayes doesn't like to go deep. They play about 6 guys.
And I think that's what caught up with them in the first half. That's why those 3 minutes, they just looked like they just couldn't get back on defense. 12-0 run for Loughlin to close the half. They went into the half leading by 6. And now it's almost like if you're Loughlin, you're thinking, okay, let's just get within striking distance and hope that the energy level of Hayes, they can't match ours.
And with that said, with Loughlin, too, they are deeper on the bench, and their talent will obviously help them in the future, as we'll get a timeout by Cardinal Hayes as well. But for either one of these teams, they're going to have their work cut out for them, playing either Malloy or Stepanak, which are 2 pretty deep teams.
Let's talk about that, because me and you were the biggest Malloy bandwagon guys early in the year. And it's not,
Okay.
I knew they had Cole Anthony. I knew how talented he was, best player maybe in the league. And then here comes, 7-foot Moses Brown. And I'm telling people, this guy can play in the NBA tonight if they really needed him. They needed a guy to suit up. He could do it. And then I thought the whole rest of this Malloy team, it was a well-rounded team. And nobody in Westchester, especially anywhere in the Catholic League, thought Stepanak would be in this conversation unless it was some sort of Cinderella run, which it hasn't been. And they've established themselves as one of the top teams in the league, 18 wins. And now here they are, a win from going to a championship.
And I'm sure we'll expand on that, too, as the game goes on. We definitely will. But, Archbishop Stepanak, they're not Sisters of the Poor. They're not the little engine that could. They beat Christ the King twice. They're the only team that beat Malloy at home this year, which will be so interesting to see in this game as well. But, how about this? Kevin, if I would have told you last year at the end of the year after a down year for Stepanak, they're losing the best 2 players. Their coach is only in his 2nd year.
And he's a young coach.
He's a young coach, and you really don't know what next year's team's going to be. You'd say, hey, you know what? If they can get to the quarters, if they can win a game in the intersectional, okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, now they have a chance to win it all.
And people think that they're favored going into this, which is amazing.
You know what? They're going to have to play like that. Williams, who's not afraid to stroke it from downtown, can't get it to go, as Cardinal Hayes leads 53-47. 5:20 to go in the 4th quarter.
Hayes is going to reset here. They know the clock is on their side with a 6-point lead, just over 5 minutes left.
These 2 matched up earlier in the year, and Hayes winning in Fort Greene 87-84, as that'll stay with the Cardinals.
I'm still believing that Loughlin has a run left in them.
You're not alone.
Just too active defensively. Give them 5 more minutes of Marquise Noel and Keith Williams chasing you around. They're going to get you at some point.
Toussaint off the mark again, and Toussaint a little upset with himself. But you can see some of the shots that Toussaint is putting up, a little contested. But his shots have been off to the right, off to the left, and you have to wonder if the pressure of Loughlin is catching up to him from downtown.
Hayes letting them roll the ball to court in 2-3 zone here. Going to match up on the shooters on the outside, extend.
Nunez throwing that off hand. Could that be any more obvious?
No, and that's a bad spot to do it. You're basically on an island dribbling the basketball. But if you're Nunez, that's not exactly what you want to be doing, is dribbling the basketball into Jante Williams.
Well, and he did it right in front of the referee. That's like me putting my hand in the cookie jar and saying it wasn't me. So Jante Williams.
Hayes definitely going to burn clock here on every possession they can.
The handoff is to Dawkins. High pass, catch and shoot from Jackson Flush.
Nunez a little late getting out in the shooter there, and Jackson makes it fall. Back to an 8-point lead, just over 4 minutes.
55-47, a Hayes lead. Gaffney can't get it to go. Here's Williams out of the pack, throws the outlet. Over to Jante Williams, swatted away by Gaffney. Dawkins was the trailer, and he draws the foul.
I think it's going to go against Nunez again. Too many possessions here, John, where Marquise Noel and Keith Williams aren't going to have the basketball in their hands.
And you have to wonder with both teams, Loughlin with 3 timeouts to call, Hayes with 2 timeouts to call. Maybe they don't have to burn a timeout on this, but maybe Ed Gonzalez starts drawing up plays for Williams. Terrence Reeves checks in for the Cardinals. Justin Champagny checks in for the Lions. Neither one of these teams going particularly deep. Dawkins, the hoist and the fire, and he goes 2 of 2. There's a player that the coaching staff had no idea what they were going to get out of him, and he's been critical for this championship run for Cardinal Hayes. They expected the young man in the uniform to be the contributor, but they've gotten it from many different places. Cardinal Hayes with a 10-point lead, 3:52 to go in the fourth quarter, 57-54 on News 12 Varsity's Game Time. 3 minutes and 52 seconds separates Cardinal Hayes from punching their ticket to Sunday's final. Marquise Noel and Bishop Loughlin looking for a run. Here's Gaffney. He's joined by Justin Champagny, Jordan Thomas, and Keith Williams.
It's Toussaint. Yeah, it's a tough foul for Toussaint. Defending in the low post where he doesn't necessarily want to be, where Keith Williams is going to back him down.
Toussaint will join Dawkins, Terrence Reeves, Tyrese Williams. As we'll get another foul on the entry pass.
Is that going against Toussaint also? No.
Nope, that'll go on Mark Jackson, his 3rd and the team's 2nd. Not a lot of fouls called in this game, which was a polar opposite of Game 2 last year between Bishop Loughlin and Christ the King. But Williams to the line. And he misses the first one.
Front end of 1-and-1, you got to make him. At this point, trailing by 10. It's like basically like missing both.
Jordan Thomas with the wall off. It'll stay with Cardinal Hayes.
That's true. The ball did hit the official, stayed in bounds, but he was staying out of bounds, so it was the right call by the ref.
That's always one of the toughest things to do, too, as an official, is to just get out of the way. And that ball was right in front of us, and I don't know on the screen, and if you watching the feed does it justice, but that ball was a laser.
May have saved Amanda Puglisi sitting courtside on the computer, getting hit.
We don't want Amanda getting hit because we need somebody to host Huddle Up, which you could check out every week. Marquise Noel, he can't get the roll, but he gets fouled. Cardinal Hayes Marquise Noel telling everybody that he'll get up himself.
I don't need your help. You're the one who knocked me down. Don't try and help me up. And it was in transition. It was a play on the basketball, but the body's hit the floor, and that would have been a critical N1. Noel's going to have to get this thing started for defense.
And, of course, Noel, just to draw the 3 degrees, would love to be featured on this week's edition of Huddle Up, because that would mean his team's in the championship game as he swirls on the first one, an 82% free throw shooter. A 57-49 lead after the free throw, 3:07 to go, and Loughlin brings out the press. Time is on the side of the Hayesmen. Gaffney with the takeaway. It's a 2-on-1. Gaffney looking towards Noel, the reverse layup. Here comes Loughlin.
Back-to-back turnovers caused at half court, and they lead to 4 points. They cut the deficit to 6.
And then we'll get a whistle as well as Jordan Thomas tagging Jonte Williams. His second and the team's 7th. Jonte Williams called up from the JV last year. As he misses the front end of a 1-and-1.
Every big comeback centers around missed free throws.
Noel, the 3 was blocked. Here's Toussaint and Noel. And Kevin, now it comes to a point where, as Toussaint throws up the floater and he gets it to go.
Thought Toussaint rushed in the lane, but once he got by his defender, he had to try and finish it.
Offensive foul. Tyrese Gaffney is going to get called for the charge and then has some words for Terry Dawkins afterwards. But my point that I was going to bring up is that if you're Cardinal Hayes, or at least as an observer, keep the pedal on the metal, you'd have to think, right, and play to win as opposed to, playing to survive.
Yeah, I think they got themselves in a little bit of trouble about 2 or 3 minutes ago when they tried to really slow down the pace of the game. And, I understand not taking 3-point shots. You made 10 already, but being a little bit more conservative, but not losing your edge. That's a foul on Loughlin as they...
And that's the second on Williams. Tyrese Williams. Nails the first one. It's been a long road back after the broken ankle ended his season in December 2015. His second free throw gives Cardinal Hayes a 61-51 lead in the final 2 minutes. Williams a 3, they needed that. And Ed Gonzalez is going to call a timeout. He has 1 more remaining. And it'll be a full timeout for Bishop Loughlin.
It's been a quiet second half for Williams, really for Loughlin overall. And Hayes went on that run. It all started with the Jonte Williams threes. Joe Toussaint had a couple baskets in there as well, and they extended. They went from down 6 and looking like they're going to get run out of here after that bad possession to end the second quarter to in front here by 7, 2 minutes away from a trip to the title game.
Cardinal Hayes looking for its first AA title since 1990 when they had Jamal Mashburn. They lost in the A finals to Mountain Stepanak a few years ago, 2010 and 2011. And of course, this was a program that was in the A for so many years. And then when Rice High School closed down, they took on a bunch of Rice players, moved up to the AA, and have held their own. Of course, losing a few years ago in the AA semifinal to the Ravens and Mr. Dingle as well. I'd have to ask Elio Velez this after the game, but I'm trying to think of a year where both the basketball team and the football team, or maybe Kevin,
Were they both
won city titles or won league titles.
If it's ever
the same
happened.
year, if it's ever happened. Of course, the Cardinal Hayes football team winning the AAA over Stepanak at Mitchell Field this year as Toussaint draws the foul, and then lost the heartbreaker to Canisius as well at Fordham University. And just to draw the parallels,
Yeah.
Sunday on News 12 Varsity, Dave Resnick and Pete Mulroy will have the call. If Cardinal Hayes were to get there, it would be at Fordham as well.
Other side of the wall.
First free throw is good, as Toussaint all alone with his teammates converging in the backcourt. Gives a bunch of air fives. He goes 1 of 2. The lead's still 62-54. 90 seconds to go in this one as Keith Williams gets bumped by Jonte Williams.
And Jonte Williams is very confused. You know, we didn't call that all game, and now you're going to, he thinks he stuck out his hip. It's a difficult call. I mean, it's so much easier to try and put points on the board in a comeback when the clock's not moving, and that's one right there to a 7-point deficit.
Keith Williams, a 76% free throw shooter, but he's been one of the clutchest players in the Catholic League. And let's see if he's got another run. A jump ball will keep it with Loughlin. And these are the breaks that Loughlin needs. (62-55). Gaffney floats it into Williams. Williams wants it. A three. It's short. The press, the high pass. Toussaint tips it to himself. The dish off. Dawkins, and a nice play by Tyrese Gaffney.
Might have been a game-saving play there by Gaffney. Another basket with 1:17 left. To go to 9 would have been damaging, but they can't let them score here.
Champagny with the rejection, and Thomas draws the whistle. Now, Kevin, this is a young team. Joe Lodes knows it. Obviously, he looks at them as a year older than what it says on the stat sheet. Do you maybe call a timeout and kind of, settle your team down, but also freeze free throw shooters like Jordan Thomas and whoever else you bring to the line?
I wouldn't there's 2 timeouts left. I just feel, as our free throw misses there.
An air ball.
Air ball. Your words, not mine. I just feel that, you want to protect your inbounders at this point. You don't want to get a 5-second violation. You save 2 timeouts with a 7-point lead. I think he feels good enough about his team, the way they've mentally responded here in the second half, to keep those 2 timeouts as security if they get themselves trapped or have trouble getting the ball on bounce.
Antoine Hurton checks in as Keith Williams goes to the bench. Terry Dawkins draws the foul. Joe Lodes said yesterday that the game will be won on the free throw line. And he's starting to look
like a prophet
Like
here.
a prophet, exactly.
That could have been.
Trying to think of the right words. I'm glad you're here. Terry Dawkins nets the first one. A 63-55 lead with 1:10 to go in the fourth quarter.
Seemed like Loughlin was trying to foul Dawkins before he got it to Toussaint or Jonte Williams. So maybe he took the challenge on here to knock down one of the 2.
And he goes 1 of 2. Here comes Loughlin with Keith Williams back in. Noel tries to get it to Gaffney, and a jump ball. That'll go to Hayes.
Noel just dribbled into traffic right there, and good hands by Dawkins and Tyrese Williams.
Tyrese Williams throwing the outlet. Intercepted by Thomas, and he scoops it up. Under a minute to go in the semifinals. The lead pass to Noel, and it'll stay with Loughlin. Now the officials will converge. Let's see if they change it. It'll stay with Loughlin.
Trying to judge by the facial expressions of people sitting in that corner over there. They don't think they agree with the call.
You're not going to please everyone. That's what the men in zebra stripes know.
Trying to get the ball to Noel for a 3.
And Hayes knows it. Gaffney. Underneath. Champagny, no, but a foul. And we'll do it again at the free throw line. And that's the 4th on Tyrese Williams. We see Mark Jackson at the end of the bench. Maybe Lodes swaps with the 2 of them. He doesn't do it after the first free throw, as Jackson will stay on the bench. Jordan Thomas checks back in for Keith Williams.
Protect his fouls, going to keep him on the bench. They're going to have to intentionally foul here, down 7. with another free throw coming, so don't want Williams to get it. And you keep Noel out there because you just might get a steal.
Yeah, 13.9 second differential between the game and shot clock, but more than a 2-possession game. As Cardinal Hayes will call a timeout, and they'll talk it over.
Seeing the teams from the next game coming out in the corners. Look at the Malloy corner. Look at just how big. That's the step in X side. And I go to the side where Malloy is. Look how big Moses is. Standing like a head taller than everybody else. As the big man now sits down, of course, on cue.
He still might be bigger
he's
than
still
everyone
bigger than. He's still 5'8", sitting down.
And then you see John Herring in the back. John Herring is probably one of the funniest, nicest players that you can talk to. And you can say that about a lot of players as well, but I had the chance to meet John earlier this year and speak to him, and I spoke to him and Jade C together. And after I spoke to C first, and then C was about to go back to the locker room because this was after a game, and John just grabbed C by the arm and said, no, I need you here for moral support. And he just knocked out the interview. And I told John, he said, I'm not asking you hard-hitting questions.
These kids are more nervous about interviews after a game. I'm like, you just played in front of 1,000 people, and you scored 31 points. What are you nervous about me for? But Moses Brown getting ready to go out there.
You are the Kevin Devaney Jr.
True.
Host of Fast Break.
I hear that's the sound of people being very unimpressed.
There's Jose Alvarado from Christ the King. His storied career over. He'll be headed to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's actually in town for the ACC tournament as they flip it inside. Williams fluttering around. And now Noel comes out with a foul.
The number of fouls that Cardinal Hayes has committed in the final 2 minutes of this game with an 8-point lead, a 6-point lead, it's criminal. You can't make these mistakes. You're compounding turnovers. That's one mistake, but you can't do it and make a foul as well. Clock stops, 41.4 left. And you're putting the best free throw shooter on the team at the line with a 63-57 lead.
Noel, if he was to hit these two, would make it a 4-point game. An 82% free throw shooter. Nothing but nylon on the first one.
He's one of those guys who shoots 82%, but nobody remembers when he misses. Because he seems like he always knocks them down. Has his little routine going behind the back.
And he goes 2 of 2. Antoine Hurton will come in for Nunez, and you'd have to imagine that Hurton's the one that's going to commit the foul.
What's he going to try and trap here?
Hayes trying to break the press. They do. Going to the cup. No, sir. Here comes Loughlin. They can make this a one-possession game. The handoff, offensive foul. We've got an offensive foul on one end. And we had one official signaling a block.
And Eddie Gonzalez is so upset because this was all falling his way. Down by 4, they rushed the shot, they missed it. His team got a rebound, and now they're trying to get in the backcourt. And they're going to call foul against Jordan Thomas for hitting Terry Dawkins in the head,
Joe Toussaint with, at this moment, a game-saving charge. A 63-59 lead for Cardinal Hayes.
They're saving your team in a game, and they're saving them from disaster, which was what they're on the verge of, and the missed free throw. And Loughlin's only getting more confident here. 27. It's like this final minute and a half won't end for Cardinal Hayes. And I keep looking at their bench, and everyone just keeps looking. The only scoreboard in the building is overhead. And just their heads are just kind of looking up at it.
0 for 2. Shot clock turned off. Final 25. Nunez, a 3. Bang! Here come the Lions. And Ed Gonzalez is going to call a timeout. Loughlin within 1. 63-62.
All eyes went to Marquise Noel, and it left Adrian Nunez wide open in the corner. That three-point shot was pure when it left his hands, and Loughlin has no business being within 1 point, and they're within 1 point.
Well, while it may seem that Cardinal Hayes, after that three on that bench, while they might feel that they've lost this game, that's not the case.
They have not. I don't know if they lost the game, but this is why you saved your timeout.
But I mean the feeling.
Yeah, the feeling, of course. The body language of Cardinal Hayes going to the bench didn't look like a team that was up 1 with 19.7 left. And they knew this wasn't going to be easy to close it out. And Loughlin, thanks to some missed free throws, thanks to some turnovers they forced, are within striking distance, down 1.
This game a little reminiscent of that 2008 NCAA final with Memphis and Kansas. Although Mario Chalmers is not in the building. There's a hero down there. And he's looking to take his team to the final on Sunday. For Loughlin, it could be the first final, or excuse me, the second straight finals appearance. For Hayes, it could be their first AA final. Up to Toussaint, toes the sideline, 15 seconds. Mark Jackson underneath, and he gets bumped by Hurton, and not a bad foul considering the free throw woes that have bitten Cardinal Hayes.
.8 seconds left. The strategy when you look up at the board, Hayes has 1 timeout, Loughlin has none.
Mark Jackson to shoot the first, then he misses. Nothing is breaking right for Cardinal Hayes.
So Loughlin has to go here no matter what. Make or miss, they got to go. No timeouts.
And 1 timeout for Cardinal Hayes as they use it. And Joe Loads will talk to his team. Well, with that said, Bishop Loughlin will have an opportunity to force overtime or win the game.
You know, I told you that I would save the timeouts. Looking back, and obviously it's much easier to look back, I think they should have taken a timeout because this was all a build-up, starting with about a minute and a half left, where Cardinal Hayes just too much looking at the scoreboard, hoping that it was going to run out, missing layups, missing free throws, turning the ball over. And it's not that Bishop Loughlin has played some sort of flawless final 2 minutes themselves. They've missed opportunities.
These are both teams that have had their struggles in big games come down the stretch. Bishop Loughlin losing heartbreakers to Zavarian, Christ the King over the last couple of years under the Gonzalez administration.
And John, if I'm Bishop Loughlin, I'm telling my team, listen, I know he got called for a charge the last play. I don't think they're going to do it again. They're not going to call him for it again. I want the ball in Marquise Noel's hand, and I want him going to the basket here to either tie it or go ahead. Depends on this free throw with a 1 point lead for Hayes. They have 6 guys in the court.
Yeah,
Cardinal Hayes has 6 guys in the court.
As Jonte Williams goes back to the bench. And they got away with one.
Have they? The ball was never put back into play.
Boy, that was close.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, man. Mark Jackson's second free throw is good. It's a 2-point game, 12.8 to go. Here comes Loughlin for a chance to go to the finals. Marquise Noel. Noel to the cup. He gets blocked. Underneath, Gaffney. He doesn't get the layup. The tip around. A foul is called, and Hayes will survive. Could you have gotten any closer?
I still don't know how that didn't go in. Either one of those shots didn't go in.
Now, technically, you need at least 0.3 seconds to catch and shoot. Let me ask you this. Do you make the first and miss the second?
I would take my chances doing that, yes.
Well, he misses the first. No timeouts left. 0.4 on the clock.
Now, if you're Hayes and you make here, I'd foul on the inbounds. I'd foul. It wasn't going to be in a shooting motion. Here's
Dawkins. Makes it. Let's see what they do. Nunez telling him to go. He's going to overshoot everyone, and Hayes is going to get the ball back. Now Hayes is going to get it back on their end. And all Hayes has to do is just throw the ball deep and somebody touch it.
Just touch it. That's all you have to do is just touch the basketball. Oh, man. This one from being an incredible comeback to just an agonizing defeat for Bishop Loughlin.
To say that Cardinal Hayes walked a tightrope would be an overstatement.
I actually still think they got away with it with the 6 man, but it doesn't matter.
Cardinal Hayes is headed to the final. They win this one 65-62, taking down Bishop Loughlin. We'll be back to talk to the player of the game right after this.
On March 12th, starting at 11 a.m., watch the best of Long Island high school basketball battle for the right to be called champions. Live on Channel 14. This doubleheader begins at 11 a.m. with the Class A Finals, followed by the Class AA Finals at 1:30 p.m. Watch the best of Long Island high school basketball live on the big screen on Optimum Channel, Channel 14.
Back here after a close Cardinal Hayes victory, you can finally exhale when you guys grab that rebound and time starts to expire. What goes through your mind?
Just pure excitement, this is my first year playing varsity. I went to the chip freshman year and my junior varsity year, this is amazing. I couldn't take it both years, but this year I hope to make it happen.
What did you see about your team's composure come down the stretch that you guys were able to get through that tough period and secure the win?
Well, it all started at halftime, we all said, all right, that's it. We're going to stop playing slow, we're going to pick up the pace. We're going to play Cardinal Hayes basketball. We came out with energy, and, they made their run, and, we had the ball, and mentally we stayed in it.
You've looked pretty confident. I'm sure you felt that way when you're knocking down those threes. What were you thinking when you start to hoist those threes? Because sometimes they were halfway up and you're already looking to go down the court as if it was in.
Yeah, I practice those. They say you practice how you play, you know what I mean? And, Coach said, we trust you, and they believed in me, and I knocked down the shots.
You either get Stepanak or Malloy. Do you care who you get?
No, sir. We're just going to play Cardinal Hayes basketball and try to get a victory.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the time. Cardinal Hayes survives by the skin of their teeth. They're headed to the finals. For our producer Tom Schnars and my partner Kevin Devaney Jr., this is John Perez signing off. This has been a presentation of News 12 Varsity's Game Time.